welcome back to my channel. So someday I'm going to be back to my normal recording area, but Sakizo is taking over my life and my space. So right now I'm back in my studio for a bit, but at a weird angle. Actually, here, let me show you. So I have, oh, I forgot I put this over it. This is my start of the top part that goes over the skirt, but I have the front panel done. I'm particularly proud of this trim I made. I love it so much. But so she takes up the majority of my space, and then I'm sure everyone is like this, right? It's not just a me thing, but when I craft, my whole work area explodes because I am too focused on crafting to actually clean. So here's where I normally record, on this table, which is covered in stuff. And then I have my drafting table, which is half covered in stuff. So that's why for the past few months I have been recording in a different room, because there's too much going on here and I don't want to move Sakizo. So for now, I'll just keep rotating backgrounds until I come back to my normal recording area. So hopefully it's not too jarring or weird or whatever, but here we are. I am a mess and I will always be a mess, so, but at least sometimes I make beautiful things. So I just wanted to come on here and have a little fun chatty video, give you a bit of an update on where we're at with Sakizo, and talk about some recent things happening in the cosplay competition scene. So hopefully you find that interesting. If you do, make sure to subscribe for more content from me. Yeah, I think we can go ahead and jump into it. It's the end of the night, just so you know, and I'm really tired, so hopefully I don't ramble too much, but let's just start off with some updates. So my Sakizo build, as you can see, is the skirt front panel is done. I just need to attach it to the waistband and add some snaps in, because the way I'm doing the skirt, the panel is not attached to the front panel is not attached to the rest. It's in the waistband, but I'm snapping it into place and then snapping it onto the underskirt itself, because I don't like the idea of it potentially twisting while wearing it. I know that just seems like the easiest way of putting it all together, and the waistband will have ties and lacing, because I don't trust much else. Like, I trust lacing, but like buttons, snaps, and that sort of thing for actually holding up something heavy like the skirt, I do not trust. Back to my reference image. So I originally thought that this piece up here, this little draped area at the waist, was a fourth layer of skirt. However, I was going through this book again, and I somehow have forgotten that this back image exists. Now, there are multiple images of this dress, and I am purposely not referencing them because every design she has is different in some way. Actually, a really great example is early in this book. So we have the front, bright red and gold and cream, and then we have her here, same dress, but there's a lot of black in it, a lot of dark reds, and all of the embroidery is different, especially this embroidery here on the panels. It's completely different than what's up here, which is, I mean, it's fine. She's an artist. She can do whatever she wants, but I am not going to be including something like this drawing in my build book. It's just going to be this. However, this back one, I think I'm going to include, though it differs quite a bit. However, in this one, you don't see the buckles on the side of the front panel like you see a hint of here. I'm assuming it's buckles. It's my own artistic interpretation. But this front drape is going over the bottom of the bodice. So with that, I have concluded that that is a swag and not a skirt. And because of that, it either needs to be part of the bodice itself or just like a separate piece that then goes on top. So I am not including that in the skirt, and it doesn't have an actual waistband, so it's going to be its own thing. And I'm very excited for that, because that means I will have finally finished the skirt. I'm going to have to look back at the video that I posted about the corset because I don't exactly remember when I started this skirt portion, but it might have been a year. I know I started this project a year and a month ago. So I may finally be done with the skirt, which means I can move on to the leather working this weekend because I really, really want to get this bodice completed before I move on to the sleeves. So progress is being made. And I'm very, very excited to put together the skirt video and share that. It's going to be long. I have so much content. It's going to take me a while to edit and put together, but I will be putting together a walkthrough of how I made this skirt. I just don't quite know when because I don't quite know how long it's going to take me. But that video is coming because we are nearly done. 98%, that's where we're at. So there's that. Additionally, on Rumi, so I actually have part of the sword that I printed here in this horrible red color. This is the worst color of 3D print. I have no idea why I hate it so much, but it looks really creepy. And yes, this is the bottom of her sword and it looks a little big, but so I'm uncertain if I want to shrink this down a bit. But I have her jacket still complete. I'm hand sewing on the gold sequins, and then I'll be able to move on to the armor and the details on that. The shorts are done except for the hidden zipper, and the top, which is over here, I still need to go and finish out the lining, and I actually need to redo the hemline because I actually rolled it up a little too far in front. So Rumi is nearly there. I can move on to the wig and all of the other accessories she has. Additionally, I did design her sword and I am working on printing that, and I'm going to make it light up, which I'm very excited about. But this is one of the first test runs. I'm testing threading. My 3D printer is not very good, so I'm testing it to see if I can get the threads to work so that I can screw some pieces together and then get back into the hilt to mess with the electronics if I need to. This just feels really big, but we'll see when the whole thing is printed. I don't know. So that's Rumi. I'm going to have her finished in time for Homat. So yeah, I'm working on both of them. It's just, I'm working on Sakizo and Rumi side by side, as whim and time allows. There's that. I also think I'm going to make my own boots. We're going to see how that goes. Yeah, I also have my next big competition build planned out. I'm hoping to start that early next year. I have a feeling Sakizo is going to take me into January, but I do want to finish up by the end of January if I can. So I am going to cut back on some of my convention attendance just to make sure that I have time to complete her in time for competing, if I get accepted, of course. So that's where we're at with all of my cosplay builds right now. Let's hop on into the cosplay contest drama. So because I am mainly a competitive cosplayer and I'm just talking about cosplays that I am going to be competing in the future, I want to talk about the Crown Championship in New York City. I'm sure that you have heard of this drama, and I'm sure that you're probably tired of it. It happened 2 weeks. It happened when I was in GalaxyCon St. Louis, so I missed this for like a week. So it was relatively new to me whenever I found out a couple days ago, and I have been obsessively consuming TikTok videos about this drama because one of the cosplayers competed at one of the cons I went to, and I saw it in person. I was just really surprised. I was like, oh my gosh, I saw that one. I'm not gonna name any names. I'm not gonna go into too much detail about it, but I'll give you the gist of what's going on. I'm sure you can probably guess, is that once again, in the year of our Lord 2025, we have a bitter contestant tearing down the winners of the New York Craftsmanship Contest, New York Comic Con Craftsmanship Contest. Essentially what's going on is New York City Comic Con has a craftsmanship contest. It is one of the preliminaries for the Crown Central Championship, which is why I'm so invested in it, because I want to compete in the Crown Championship someday, which is why I thought this was an excellent topic to talk about, because I'm hoping to compete in the circuit someday, right? So I'm very invested in what goes on. I watch all this stuff and I talk about it a lot on this channel. So what happened was we had our 3 winners from the Crown. 2 of them were, I believe, SFX, and I believe 1 might have been in the needlework category. I can't quite remember, but it doesn't matter. They were all phenomenal cosplayers, and they made what appears to be near perfect cosplay builds. We had in 3rd place A. Kelly Z, she was a Korok from Zelda. It was super cool. And then we had in second place Annie X Machina as Molly Muck. And then in first place, Say No to Scrunchies as an original clicker, wall clicker design. Oh my god, it was so stunning. I actually thought when I saw a video of it that all of the fungus was made out of some sort of foam or something that she sculpted. I saw up close pictures. I think they're actually made out of fabric, which is so much more impressive, but I need to go through her Instagram and like consume her content and see how she made that, because it's just a stunning, an absolutely stunning piece. But go follow them, go check them out. They deserve the attention that they're not getting because this drama sort of overshadowed it. So they deserve more love. So go find them, check them out. Amazing builds, well-deserved wins. However, and I'm not going to name what's going on, like I'm not going to name the cosplayer or anything. You've probably seen it, but there's a person, a cosplayer who competed and didn't place at all, didn't place in the category, nor placed in the first, second, or third overall. And I don't think they started this drama, actually, not at first. I think the audience started this drama, or at least the online audience. So maybe not the people in New York City Comic Con watching it. Maybe it's just the people outside. I wasn't there, so I can't tell you for certain. But they started like a hate campaign against the winners and against the judges because this one particular big foam build did not win. And they thought that it was crazy that this big cosplay made out of foam did not win against these three multimedia cosplays. Well, to them, they thought they were needlework. They thought they were all sewn cosplays. And because of this, there has literally been online outrage. Like, people are freaking out. They're tearing apart the judges, saying that, of course, this is where it gets wild. They're saying that, of course, women chose needlework winners because needlework is a woman's thing. That is a wild statement to say. That is insane. For centuries, men have been involved in needlework. I'm just saying, like, the big jobs for centuries were held by men. Women weren't allowed to work their way up when it came to sewing. Now, some titles were very specific to women, of course, and those have always been downgraded throughout history. There is historical, systemic oppression of women's crafts, women's work, and sewing does fall into that. And especially in this day and age, sewing is considered women's work, and because of that, it is not valued. Costume creators who do this professionally do not get paid what they should get paid. We know that there are sweatshops that pay people pennies to do this kind of work. It is not valued, and a good portion of that is because of the assumption that it is women's work. But I also don't want to lose track of the fact that men were involved in textile industries as well. So it's a wild thing for someone to come at it from that angle. The online discourse took off. There was the cosplayer themselves followed the discourse and started commenting. And from what I could see, originally they were commenting explanations of the build. A lot of people thought it was 3D printed, and they were saying, why would this 3D printed build win? And then they were downplaying 3D print as a craft. And then I guess they got really angry. They started saying some outlandish things. My favorite, and actually the only time that I was ever felt a little personally offended, was when they said, I think it was them, it could have been another commenter, but someone said that, oh, I believe it was this cosplayer. They said something about how sewing isn't skill. There's no skill to it. There's no craft to it. A machine does the work and all you do is press a button. I'm sorry. What? Excuse me. Oh my gosh. Like, that one got me. That one got me. Normally I'm pretty unfazed, but that one made me go, clearly you know nothing about sewing. Because I am an architect and an engineer on top of a seamstress or a sewer or whatever you want to call me to just create something like my Saki Zo skirt. And you want to say there's no skill? Jeez Louise. But of course, people came out and were defending sewists, defending needlework, saying that there's no skill in foam because all you do is cut some foam and glue it together. And then the people were saying there's no skill in 3D printing because the machine does all the discourse is out of control. And they spiraled, went down the misogynistic route of course, women judges would choose a women's skill to win, and essentially destroyed probably any chance they ever have of making their name in the cosplay world. The last I heard through the grapevine, so I don't know if this is true, is that they are no longer going to compete again because it's BS and so on and so forth. So that's the drama. And there were a ton of people who were like, well, I get why the winners won, but why isn't there a separate category for big foam builds? My dudes. There was. They didn't win that one either. But anyway, this is context. I wanted to give the context of where this came from. There's 2 points I want to make. I think I'm actually going to start with the more behavioral one here. Let's not tear down each other's skill sets. Foam work is a skill. It's black magic to me, as I like to joke. It's so funny. I say that foam work is black magic, and my friend who is a foam smith says that sewing is witchcraft. So we have all of the fields of magic covered, I guess. But foam work is a skill. It's a skill I'm afraid of. It requires a lot of thought and ingenuity. You've got to make your cuts right and make them once. You have to force this flat thing into these shapes, and then the painting and priming and all. There is skill there. There's a lot of skill. It needs to be valued. It is innovative and creative, and it deserves its place in craftsmanship contests. And then you have sewing. Sewing, of course, is a centuries-old skill. There's so many things you can do with it. It needs to not be downgraded or not considered a skill because the machine does the work for it. I don't know, that one's going to bother me forever. And then 3D printing. 3D printing is also a skill. I know there are some people who are tired of seeing it because it's very popular and more accessible now than ever. And there are some people who don't think that it's a skill at all. But actually, 3D printing consists of 2 skills, in my opinion. You have the first skill, which is model. Actually getting in there and creating your own 3D models. That's what I did with my Rumi sword. Actually, that's what I do with 99% of the stuff that I make. I don't know how to 3D model. I just play with Blender or Fusion 360 until something works. That takes time and effort and research. That is a skill. Some people can't do that. Some people need to have it done for them, and that's okay. We all have our own strengths, but 3D modeling is absolutely a skill. And the other one is the actual printing and finishing of the print. So if you don't design your own 3D model, then what we judge you on is the finish, the print and the finish of the print. Assuming you printed it yourself, which you should if you can. If not, then we're just looking at the finish. There's a lot of nuance to getting a 3D printer to print cleanly. I suck at it. I'm sure other people suck at it. I just sort of roll with rough prints and finish them well because I don't have the time or patience to get my 3D print to actually properly print. Also, I think the humidity where I live really affects my printer. But besides that, there's a skill there that I fully believe that's a skill. But more importantly than that, it's the finish. How did you sand it? How well did you sand it? Did you prime it? How well did you paint it? All of that is included in the judging criteria for a 3D print prop or whatever it is. So that is a skill. Let's not say one is better than the other. They are all skills. They are all different facets of creativity. And we need to not tear each other down to build something up. I know that horrible thing was said about sewing, but I'm not going to tear down foam smithing just to make sewing seem better. Sewing's been around for centuries, foam smithing has not, but I'm not going to say that sewing is better than foam smithing just because of its age. They're all skills and they all deserve to be valued. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about the Crown Championship in general, because a big part of the discourse was people not understanding that there was an armor or foam category at New York City Comic Con. I've said this before, which is why I put this at the end, because if you've been on my channel a lot, I've probably said this a lot. So feel free to peace out here. If you do, make sure to like, subscribe for more content from me. Let's talk about Crown, how it works. The New York City Comic Con is part of the craftsmanship contest, is part of a larger circuit of regional competitions. At this time, 4 regional qualifiers. You have Florida SuperCon, Emerald City Comic Con, C2E2, and New York City Comic Con. I know in New York and C2E2, not only do they have their first, second, third overall placements, but they have categories. They have an armor, a needlework, and an FX category. Armor or foamsmithing, I always forget. I would have to look into all of them, but I'm pretty sure they all have categories. So if I am a primarily sewn cosplay, like my Sakizo, I would enter that into needlework. If I made something completely out of foam, I would enter that into the armor or foam category. And if I made something multimedia, maybe it's sewn a little, maybe there's some foam work, and maybe there's some prosthetics or something like that, that's gonna go in the FX category. Though I wish it was titled multimedia over FX, but it's whatever. There are categories. And within those categories, there is a winner chosen. So you can win Best Needlework at New York City Comic Con. So you have your category winners, there's 3 of them, and then you have your overall third, overall second, and overall first. The overall first is what gets to compete in the USA National Contest. So many people who don't have any knowledge of the Crown Championship setup wanted us to have categories, and we have it. Now, I don't think we should shame people for not knowing. I don't think we should say stay in your lane, like I saw some people saying, or anything like that. But I do think we need to educate. When we see comments like that, just say that there was categories at this company, because not every craftsmanship contest has categories. A lot of them just do it Best Novice, Journeyman, Masters, and Best in Show. That's fine. Crown is a little different. So we just need to educate people a little bit more. So they have categories. Whoever gets first place overall, in this case, say no to scrunchies, they then get to move on to compete in the USA Regional Final at C2E2. This year it's in March. Whoever wins that national becomes the USA representative, who then goes on to compete in the global championship. The global championship is actually, it's not telling me where everyone's from, but I know there's Australia, there's UK, there's the United States, I believe Latvia. Okay, well, I thought I should look that up, but really all of the stuff I'm seeing right now with C2E2 is like from the US to Australia, like it's not giving me anything, but this one says USA, Australia, Africa, Spain, France, and UK. And it says, and more to come. So multiple countries come and compete in the global contest to win the cosplay crown. This year, it's actually being held in London, which is really fun. It's usually held at C2. Actually, C2E2 is very unique because usually you do the regional, and then immediately after, the person that won the regional walks the stage with the other regional finalists and competes. And if they win that, then immediately they would walk the stage with the global finalists and compete. But now they're doing their regional and their national back-to-back, and then they're going to do the global outside this country, which is really cool. It'd be really neat if they rotated that throughout every country. That'd be a lot of fun. That is the crown. Just to note, the costume that won at the regional is what competes at national and is what competes in global. So it's the same costume. I think you can make some changes, like improvements between, but it is the same costume. That is the Cosplay Crown Championship. That is what New York City Comic Con is part of. There are categories for specific skill sets. And I just wanted to put that back out there. I made a video, I think it's 2023, when the last drama happened, the last drama I was aware of that happened, that was all about losing gracefully. So if you want to go watch that and watch me talk about how I had a horrible malfunction on stage at Dragon Con, which was very devastating to me at the time because I've never had a malfunction on stage before, but we live, we learn, and we experience. Go watch that here, put it down in the description below as well, but I haven't had the need to bring this up again, and it does not hurt to refresh us all on how the Cosplay Crown works, especially since I have so many new subscribers now. So in case you're interested, the Cosplay Crown Championship is what I'm building my Sakizo for. That's all I had for you today. I just had to come on here and say my 2 cents about some things and just remind everyone that we need to continue to uplift each other in the cosplay community and learn how to lose gracefully when it happens, because it's very important that we don't tear one another down to make ourselves feel better. So with that, I'm gonna hop off and go to bed. So if you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, make sure to subscribe for more content from me, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!